do a little talk about Red Sox Yankees over the past weekend. Also, a little bit of wild card talk. So wild card wise, AL is just looking like a toss up. One thing that I heard good that I am kind of now relaxing instead of getting stressed out about, what team is gonna be the team that comes out of the wild card, yada yada yada. I've more of I heard, once wait and see what teams are where September 15th. Once see in about, about 3 weeks from now, we'll see where these teams are at, where they, according to, who cares where they're at now? Let's just watch them play. Let's see how they do in the next couple of weeks. But like September 15th is a point where you can really start to consider these teams for real or whatever, because all year you've going through hot streaks and you're going through cold streaks. And just because you're hot right now, doesn't mean you're not going to go on a cold streak that basically knocks you out of the playoffs, playoff race. Yankees, Red Sox. Yankees, had to win 2 out of 3 this weekend to really keep up with the Red Sox in my eyes. 2 out of 3 would have been big, and they should have won 2 out of 3. They for sure lost the game on Sunday. They for sure won the game against Sale on Saturday. Bullpen did good on Saturday, but Friday, bullpen just disastrous. They got like a 6-3 lead, and then they give up 6 more runs. Like I was sitting there thinking, dang, I was like, can't believe Yankees won this one. They'll lose the one tomorrow against Sale, and then we'll see what happens on Sunday. That was kind of my mindset at 6-3 at like the 6th or 7th inning. Like I was thinking, the Red Sox are dead. They're not gonna do anything against this bullpen, and gave up walks, gave up hits. Chapman came in. He didn't pitch well. But other than that, 5 games back now are the Yankees. And, they're about, I think, 5.5, 6.5 games up on Baltimore, Tampa Bay. Baltimore's really made a push as of lately. Machado's been really good. Friday night he hit a grand slam. A walk-off grand slam, actually, to beat the Angels, the only game they won in that series. If they could have won one more, they would have been, I guess, 3.5 games down instead of 4. But they lost 2 games, and they're 4 games down now in the wild card to the Angels. Angels, I continue to say, man, they just don't look that good with Trout. They haven't made enough strides with Trout that I don't think that they're a team that could be a team for the playoffs. And, they continue to prove me wrong. They continue to play good. Trout is now, I feel like back to form in a sense. Some of the other guys around him playing good. Calhoun, Pujols hits here and there. So, they're back. Seattle is typical Seattle. They had a lead for a bit. I'd say a lead for the AL second spot. When you look at it, the Yankees are only 2.5 games up on second and third in the wild card. But I consider the Yankees as like a better team, and I know I'm a Yankees fan, so why would I not? But I consider them a better team than these other wild card teams. Like I look at them as like for sure in, even though they're 2.5 games up, the moves that they've made to be for the postseason. I think, the thing is like when we talk about Judge, if you want to start to be like, oh, man, he really isn't that good. He just had a good first half. He had such a good first half, though, that, like, if they said, okay, get 20 home runs and 80 RBIs and bat 270, like, and that's all you had to do for the whole year, like, and you would, like, maintain your spot, let's say. He's got 37 home runs and 80 RBIs already right now. I know he's probably batting over 270 or around that. And so he's already had a good year if he doesn't play another game. Like, that's what you got to understand. Like he's just been a monster in the time that he's been in doing good, and we'll continue to see him probably hit home runs. He'll probably hit home runs, but like I don't know how Judge. I think what really defines Judge is how he'll be in the playoffs, and I don't really view him as gonna just tear it up in the playoffs, honestly. But the Yankees have made moves for their bullpen. Sonny Gray, I mean, he hadn't necessarily pitched like terrible, but I don't think they've gotten like a win in maybe one of his starts. I don't know. But just disastrous, and then the Indians are taking off in their division. But I knew the Indians are going to win that the whole time, so I thought that would eventually happen. Up 5 on Minnesota, up 6.5 on Kansas City. And then wild card wise, you got the Yankees at top, you got Minnesota and the Angels tied for second place. So Minnesota was playing like dog shit. Then they start to win some games as of recently. And they are now, tied for the wild card spot, but I view them as going down. I view them as definitely coming down a bit off this little hot streak. I don't view Minnesota as a playoff team, honestly. They're, I just don't. I just don't see them being there. It's kind of like Tampa Bay. Like a couple weeks ago, I said Tampa Bay, I don't see them being there. Kansas City, I think Kansas City is in a little bit of a down right now. They were playing the Indians this weekend, tough series. And I think that they'll bounce back. I really look at this point, I know it's going to change 100 times, but at this point, that second wild card spot I see going to the Angels or the Royals. I think Seattle just doesn't have enough pitching. I think they'll go down. Texas played really shitty at the first and second half, and they really started to play better. Got a couple games against the White Sox this last weekend, and now they're 61-62. It's one of those things like get 500, and we'll talk. So they're right about there. So Orioles are still 60-64, which is the worst record. And they're going to be battling with Toronto and Tampa Bay all year. I really don't see one of them really being able to break a hold of one of those others. I see Kansas City and the Angels really being the two teams in the AL to get that wild card spot. And the NL, Washington and the Dodgers, they've already locked theirs up. NL Central, the race is still pretty good. Pirates have kind of fell back. They were hot. Now they've got cold. St. Louis has been pretty good as of lately. They're 3.5 back of Chicago. So this is probably going to be a race throughout the whole entire year unless, the Cubs start to break away. Cubs have been starting to play good lately, but they do this and they're going to get cold again. So, Milwaukee's 2 games back. I think Milwaukee snagged 2 out of 3 from Colorado. And, Colorado and Arizona continue to fade. Teams are getting closer and closer to them. Maybe at the end of the year, instead of these 2 teams being the wild card teams, one of them gets knocked out and one of them stays. That's what it's looking like now more than ever. Teams have pretty good records, but I don't know. Arizona, to me, they're fading. If Goldsmith doesn't play good, then they're done. And also, I think I've been talking about Milwaukee all year. And I think the race will continue. The race in the NL Central will continue to push teams like Milwaukee and St. Louis and they're they've been doing all year, just catching them. They were 10 games down at probably at one point, and now they're Milwaukee's 2.5 back, St. Louis is 4 back. Miami for shit is 6 back. With the way Stanton's been playing lately, they're almost 500. Pittsburgh 60-64, they're 7 back. But in the NL, Colorado and Arizona, we're kind of looking like the wild card teams all year, and now it's looking like Milwaukee maybe one of those second NL teams can take a spot from Arizona or Colorado because they're really close. And, both these teams are going to play the Dodgers throughout the year. They're going to play each other some more, you know what I mean? And then, you got to do exactly what Milwaukee did. When you play a team head-to-head, like when the Yankees were playing Boston this weekend, to me, it was vital for the Yankees to win 2 out of 3, to get some ground on them, and in reality, the Red Sox really haven't really been hitting really well. I mean, it's been that new guy Devers, and it's been Benedente. Those guys have been killing the Yankees all year. Or, well, I can't say Devers has. Benedente has been killing the Yankees all year. But now this kid's been killing the Yankees, 2 weekends in a row. So, Yankees didn't do a good job in these 2 series against the Red Sox, and I think they were vital for the when they play the Red Sox to win those games. So I'm disappointed about that, but I think 2.5 games up, and the wild card is good. I think we'll definitely be one of the wild card teams, and hopefully we'll have the game at home. Not that is really a big deal, but we'll see who they're facing, and we'll see what teams make it out to NL. You'd be crazy if by the end of the year Milwaukee and St. Louis were in one of those spots. I would much rather think it'd be Colorado and St. Louis. St. Louis seems like if they can sustain their bats the way they have, Paul DeJong and stuff, that I think they could potentially be one of those wild card teams and be hot going into the playoffs. Like, I don't know if I'd want to have to face the Cardinals, going hot in the playoffs. But we'll see what happens.